Hey friends, it's Gina. Welcome to the Rebookery channel. It's been a while since I posted a video, and I wanted to hop on today and show you what I have learned ever since last weekend when I got my first traveler's notebook. So I typically journal in repurposed books, but I was thrifting last weekend and I happened to find a traveler's notebook, brand new, still in the package, and it was like $17. So I grabbed it and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. Now, I will just go ahead and tell you, I don't know a lot about traveler's notebook. I know there's a lot of people that they're really into the leather and they've got all kinds of fun and fancy things. I just wanted to try it because I wanted to see if I liked the size and all that good stuff. So I'll show you what I did this week and tell you kind of my thoughts and the things I learned along the way. So the first thing I did was I switched out the elastic for just some elastic that I got actually at a thrift store last week. And then these were just some charms that I had laying around of just things that I had found as I go thrifting. And yeah, I already have paint and stuff on my leather, and I'm okay with that because I'll be honest, brown is kind of boring, so I'm okay with the paint splotches. Okay, so when I open it up, I have two inserts in here, and I'll just go ahead and take this one out and show you. So the first thing I noticed was I was not a fan of the paper that came with it. I like my paper to be thicker, so because I don't like, my ink and stamps and stuff to bleed through. So the first thing I did was I deconstructed the insert it came with, and then I put it back together, and I also sewed the binding because I wasn't a fan of the staples. So the cover is just actually a piece of some artwork I had done, just some scrap artwork, and I took the cover of the insert that came with the journal, and I just glued this on and then cut it down to size. And then I stitched. I always like to add machine stitching, so I stitched along the side, and then I just added this little label sticker. So the journaling started off a little slow because I just hadn't really figured out like how I was supposed to journal in this. So I started off a little slow, and I tried to make it very neat and very lined up, and because I see all these beautiful traveler's notebooks that are that way, and then I quickly realized that is not me, and that is not how I journal. So after I made this nice and neat, I went back over it and added all kinds of splotches of paint and just some randomness. So this was my last week, the first day I journaled in it. This page was actually an original page from the insert. So I took some of the original pages, and then I took just some random, I don't know, vintage papers, some calendar pages and stuff like that. So this page I covered with some wallpaper, and then just kind of journaled a little bit. And then put like a weather sticker to show what the weather was like this day. And so just kind of added some stuff like that. I'd like to go back and stitch on this, this edge here. This was my Sunday from last week. So again, I was just trying to figure out, okay, sorry about that. My phone cut out. So anyway, last Sunday, I was still just trying to figure out how to journal in this. And one of the reasons why I picked this up was because I really want to start writing more, and so I thought that this would be a great thing to start doing that in. So I just started off by basically making a list of things I needed to do, and just added some random papers and some stickers. And then I started to, this was actually a piece of some book paper that I had backed with another piece of book paper and just kind of sewed down the spine. So this was vintage paper. And I started to just make a list of things I liked about the Traveler's Notebook, and things that, or things that I liked about the Traveler's Notebook, and things that I wasn't too fond of. So just kind of, again, making a list, which that's okay, because sometimes that's all you have to journal about. And then I really started to find my groove. So again, I love looking at the moon every day. For some reason, just the moon calls to me, especially when I am on my way to work. And so I was like, the moon looked really cool and I wanted to document it. And so I was just flipping through my stash of just remnants and stuff that I have to journal with. And I actually had a picture of a cider donut from one of our trips to an apple orchard. And I thought, oh my gosh, that would be a great picture to put on this page because the moon really did look like a cider donut. So that's what I put on that day. And once I did that, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I get this. This is like just a miniature art journal. And so I really started to find my groove and I loved it. I had a vintage little golden book. It was Bambi and the pages were all ripped and the cover was all ripped. So I kind of tore it apart and just cut pieces out and added this on here. And then did a lot of journaling over here, which I was really proud of myself for doing this journaling because it's really hard for me to write. I just don't like my voice when I write. And then I took some actual words from the book and put that on. The next day, I was struggling because I really just wanted to sit at home and play with this. I was loving this so much. And so that's just what I wrote about, is just how I wanted to just play. And so this was watercolor and then some tissue paper and then just a drawing that I had done and I cut out and stuck on there, some produce stickers, a picture of my cat from like 17 years ago when he was a kitty. So then this was like the middle of the week and I was really getting overwhelmed with stuff. There was a lot of things I needed to get done. And so I just started writing out all the things I needed to do. I'd already done like a watercolor on the background, and this was grid paper, just some graph paper. And so then I just started writing all the things that I needed to do, and it just turned out that my writing turned into a bunch of swirls, and so that was just kind of how I went with it. I did some stitching down the side and added some lace. I found this little piece of text from a, believe it or not, old fairy tale book, and it blows my mind because it absolutely does not sound like it would be in a fairy tale book, but it says, "What on earth possesses you?" she asked. "You have nothing to do. That is why you get these freaks into your head." I swear this could be written yesterday, but no, this came from an old fairy tale book that was written like back in the 60s, and I just thought that was the coolest piece of text ever, and I just happened to find it and I stuck it on that page, and then it just matched with the journaling because I felt like I had a bunch of freaks in my head. This one is the back side of that graph paper. So I just put a little pocket in here and then just added some wrapping paper and then some vintage ads. And then I think these little dots or these circles were like the little gelatos. So I put those on. I'm not a big fan of those. I feel like sometimes they're a little hard to use, but they seem to work well on this paper. And then this was just a tag. I put a little bit of vintage fabric on here, some stamps, and then this was some journaling let's see, this was Thursday. My son called me and wanted me to check him out of school because he was going to fail a test, and I told him no, he had to deal with the consequences. So that was just me journaling about that. Over here, this was just a book page from a field guide, some scrapbook paper, a little tag of some scrapbook paper with some trim sewed to it, and then just me doodling on the back, and then just made a little pocket. And then this was like last night. I love food and I love cooking, and so sometimes meals get really hard to be creative with and to make them so that everybody enjoys them. And so I felt like this week I did a pretty darn good job. So I just kind of journaled about our 3 good meals, because I always like to remember when I have good meals, and so that I can always go back and put them in the rotation. These were just some vintage pictures from a magazine. And then on this page, I think this was an original paper from the Traveler's Notebook, but I just added some vintage papers on top of it and some tissue paper. And then this was a piece of note paper that I had an entire notepad. It was like from the 1970s, and just added some text. And so then this was today, And so I just had these little field guide images from like mushrooms and birds, and I stapled those on there. Didn't know what I was going to do with them. But this page actually turned out, this is actually one of my favorites. So it's about my evenings, we call it TV time. And so this is kind of our routine that my husband and I go through every night when we sit and we watch TV after we both get home, and, you know, dinner's eaten and everything. So I made a little TV, and so this was just out of some a letter sticker sheet. This was just the scraps from it, and this was like a V, which is supposed to be the antenna to the TV. This is an envelope window, and I just cut that out, vintage wrapping paper. And then this is a little piece of scrapbook paper, and I just cut it down to slip into this little pocket here, and I just added a little image from a from like an old book, children's book, and then on the back of it I wrote some of our favorite shows that we like to watch during our TV time. So I thought that was kind of cute. And then over here I just kind of wrote about it. I journaled about it, like, you know, we have rules for TV time, and and then I just use these tags to follow up on my journaling, because I ran out of room and I wanted to add some more stuff. So I was kind of excited about that. I thought that one turned out pretty cute with this. So my first week in this journal, of course, I've got quite a few pages left in this insert. So a couple of things I learned. I love the size. I don't like the paper. I like to add my own paper. So making inserts is an absolute for me. If I want to continue doing this, I really want to continue making my own inserts, so I have control over what kind of paper goes in. I love the portability of it. Like, it's just so handy to stick in here and then just, you know, go. I love that. I love how it feels in your hand. And I'm kind of excited about I'm filling this up. I don't want it to be so thick that it actually splits the binding. So one of the things I did was, instead of doing, I think the original insert had like 15 pages, so it would have been 30 altogether. I cut it down to 10 because I don't know. I didn't want the spine to split, and I didn't want it to be super chunky, super thick. So I cut it down to 10 pages, and I like that size. So anyway, this is what I did this week. I'm kind of excited to continue on next week and see where I go with this. If you have any comments or questions or anything like that, any hints, tips, or tricks for me, that would be awesome if you just want to leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching, and have a great weekend. Bye.